Welcome to the Coast to Coast podcast, brought to you by Play Picks and the Lines, coming to you from the West Coast. Josh Lander, joined by my guy Nate Weitzer on the East Coast. And we've got our favorite video of each and every weekday ready for you now. It is our player props video. Started off our return from the All-Star break, plus units last night on that Thursday night. God bless DeMar DeRozan, everybody's new favorite player on this Coast to Coast podcast. That's for sure. My guy is definitely challenging for the MVP, but he is not playing tonight, so we will look elsewhere for our picks. Nate does have his great article up on playpicks.com as well, with some best bets and player props in there for you. And like and subscribe to that page, as we got actually 3 game videos up for you, a little extra one for you outside of the normal 2 game videos and player props that we did with this 9 game slate. Thought we should bring you another game in there that was pretty fun. So check all of those out. And as always, if you do still need a FanDuel or DraftKings account, head to ftpicks.com or dkpicks.com to find those listings in your area. And before I toss it to you, Nate, I also wanted to mention we do have that great player props tool up on thelines.com. Nate does a great job of keeping up with that so that we can find those best odds available for you on all these different bookmakers throwing out player props in the NBA each and every day. So make sure you check that out and get the best bang for your buck on those bets. And with that, Nate, let's jump into these player props for tonight.
Yeah, you mentioned those 3 game videos we do. One of them, I kind of like the Lakers tonight to snap that skid against the Clippers. And there's no way they're doing it without LeBron James scoring at least 30 points right now. Anthony Davis out indefinitely. Westbrook finally taking a back seat, reading the writing on the wall. In his last 7, he's averaging 14 points per game on a 25% usage rate. Still a little high, but they don't have many other playmakers other than LeBron, who's averaging 30 on a 33% usage rate his last 7, and averaging 30.5 on a 122 offensive rating his last 20 home games, playing 37 minutes per game in that span because the Lakers need everything he can give them. Yeah. Obviously, when AD is out, you see a spike in his production, 7 more points per game to 32.5, 2 more rebounds per game to 9 boards per game. I like the over at 8.5 boards here, first of all, against the Clippers team that's dead last in rebounding rate this season. Wow. It's interesting that LeBron hasn't had much success against the Clippers as far as a blow-up scoring game in 8 meetings, averaging 22.5. But I think it's time, based on the circumstances, for him to just post a huge usage rate and just attack this team down low the way they're playing right now. I mean, LeBron's probably going to play a lot of small ball 5 center without AD now. And the Clippers actually are allowing the second most points per game to centers in their last 15 games. Huh. The team that's allowing the most is the Portland Trailblazers, who have allowed 73 points to LeBron in his last 2 outings against them. LA also, the Clippers, that is, given up the 4th most paint points and the 3rd most free throw attempts. So really, if LeBron wants to attack and get to the cup here, nobody's going to stop him. Marcus Morris fancies himself a LeBron stopper. He can keep living in fantasy land while the legendary LeBron just cruises past him. And it's time. So 30.5 points right now is even money at FanDuel, but 30 points in the win doubles your money at plus 200. Yeesh. So I would consider a sprinkling on both, depending on your confidence level with the Lakers, because I am trying to predict that they finally get off this losing streak to the Clips.
Yeah, and we're saying LeBron scores 30 at least. If he gets 31, he hits his point prop. That's minus 102. So that's even money, right? So you figure you bet on both of those. You win one of them. At the very worst, you win your money back. He pulls off the W. You just essentially doubled your money, tripled it if you consider both wins. So yeah, I like that bet. You also got Melo out tonight, so no random 20-point outbursts from him where he just gets hot from 3, which is also why we don't have any desire to bet on LeBron's assists tonight. Really like the rebounds as well. Maybe a little double action there. But yeah, I think that you're spot on with those 2 bets is either way with the points for him tonight against LA. Yeah, I mean, I like the points tonight. I mean, 221 is down from what I would have even taken the over at, maybe 223. So I'm still hitting that over, but that's not a guarantee. As we mentioned, we still don't love betting totals until we see what these teams look like in the second half of the season, really last third of the season as they play their final 22-ish games. Moving on to another game that we also have a game video about there. That's the Luka led Dallas Mavericks taking on the Jazz tonight. And we do like the Mavs to be able to cover that spread at the very least. But Luka tonight, looking at a couple of things for him, over 8.5 assists. So he gets 9 assists. That gets you plus 110 on your money. You look at his last 10 games, he's averaging 35, 10 boards, and about 10 assists with 121 offensive rating. So, I mean, I really also like the points here. I know they're a little bit high for him, but I believe they said about 30 and a half
31
as well.
and a half.
31 and a half for Luka too. I mean, like his last 10 averaging 35 and a half. I love that he's getting to the free throw line about 10 times a game in those last 10 games as well. Shooting 43% from three on almost 10 three-point attempts, right? He's more than 4 made a game on 9.7 attempts from three in those last 10 as well. So, the 4 3-pointers and a W for him is plus 650. Just that spread is pretty high. Obviously, why you like it, but I mean, we even mentioned taking the Mavs money line at getting plus 200 on your money isn't the worst bet in the world. So might as well try to see if you can get a little plus 650 on that money for Luka in terms of those 4 3-pointers made. I mean, he's averaging more than that, like you said, in the last 10. Playing against against Utah specifically in his last 4 versus Utah, looking at about 28 points a game and 7 assists, shooting about 3 3-pointers a game. At about 35% clip there from three. So, the Jazz, who have typically been a pretty good defensive team from three, in terms of, we talk about all the time, making sure that they know who's shooting the three and they let the guys they want to shoot the three shoot. But this year hasn't quite been the same for the Jazz, giving up about 35.5% to their opponents from deep at home. In their last 9 at home, actually even worse than that, 37%. So, Dallas has upped their 3-point shooting a ton, especially adding guys like Davis Bertans. You're going to start getting a bunch more 3-point attempts. So they're scoring a slightly higher percentage of points off three, which once again is where we like to exploit the Jazz as of late, especially. So I think there's something to be said for all of that for Luka to get his, if you don't like the points tonight, they feel scared of you at 31.5 just because he hasn't quite hit that total against Utah specifically, despite the fact that he has been hitting that total in his last 10. I would still understand Utah, one of the best defensive teams in the league, that you'd be scared completely of all those points. But the 8.5 assists feel great tonight. I'm sure they'll key in on him, which is what he's been averaging against them anyway. So Luka assists, Luka threes, and look at Dallas. Don't sleep on them.
Yeah, that's the way to attack the Jazz, as you mentioned, is from the perimeter right now. And Dallas actually scoring the highest percentage of their points from the 3-point line and the lowest percentage in the paint. So that's why I like assists and threes here when looking at Luka. I think Utah has done a good job limiting him because they try to blitz him. And that's just not going to work with the amount of shooting they have around them and the way that these guys are shooting. So that's why I think he'll get 9 assists at a minimum. I would start there betting the same kind of thing we talk about with LeBron. You bet that, you get it, and you'll get your money back at least with a slight profit. And then you put the same bet on the plus 650 for Luka to hit 4 threes, which he's been doing. And the Mavs to, get that win. You can also look at 10 assists in a win. It's slightly less of a player performance double, but love the juice you get there at FanDuel because I have no problem taking the Mavs to win this game. I think it's a toss up and not really scared of Utah right now.
Yeah.
Another gamer we definitely like to come out of the All-Star break strong is Jimmy Butler. Went in pretty strong with 22 points per game, 7 rebounds, 4 assists over his last 6. His props are still pretty low at 32.5 PRA. I actually like the points rebounds better. You get closer to even money at FanDuel for 27.5 points rebounds. Seems pretty low against the Knicks team. He's averaging 23.5 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists against his last 5 against them. Jimmy's been putting up peripheral stats all year against the East, 7 rebounds, 6.5 assists. And this is a Knicks team that's giving up the 3rd most rebounds per game over their last 3 games. They gave up 66 boards, a league high, in their collapse to Brooklyn. They're shooting just 41% from the floor in their last 7. They're allowing a league high 10.5 rebounds to small forwards in that 7, along with the 4th most assists and 4th most points per game to that position. So no reason to think Jimmy's going to have trouble scoring in the mid-range against this team. That's a good way to beat the Knicks. And I think he'll rack up boards, even a chance to get a double-double here if it's a competitive game and Miami needs him out there down the stretch.
Yeah, he kills the Knicks. I mean, you can just leave it there. I mean, he crushes the Knicks. 32.5 points, rebounds, and assists when in his last 5 versus this team, right? He's averaging about 38 or 39 points, rebounds, and assists combined. I mean, even minus 120, I thought it would be minus 130 with that low of a points, rebounds, assist total. So I'm happy to take that against a Knicks team that will definitely give you plenty of opportunities to get rebounds. That's for sure. And yeah, Jimmy Bucket coming out of the second half of the season. Miami's a team to watch out for. They're still getting disrespected despite sitting at that number 1 seed. Not many people talking about them, but I think they're going to be right there with the key squads that are going to be left. I mean, there's 5 teams that could come out of the East, and it would not shock me in the slightest, right? Including the C's and the Heat, Bucks, Nets, Sixers. That's an incredible 5-team span right there. Maybe the East is better than the West now, but yeah, Jimmy Buckets against those rival Knicks, or at least what used to be rival Knicks, feels like a good bet. So last one here, Nate, we're going to go back to an old favorite, the old standby, Dejante Murray. He's got a couple props here you could consider. The 21.5 points feels fine for him. I'm not worried about that. I would feel good about that at minus 110 on your money at DK. I also want to throw the ancillary stats out there. I don't always love to take rebounds and assists without throwing points in there, but it's at 17.5 for him tonight. And that's what he's averaging on the season. First of all, it's about 17.5, 17.6 combined rebounds and assists on the season. So they got him right at his prop. But we're talking about a Washington team that also is going to be completely, bereft of talent up top in terms of down low. They've got Kristaps out. They got Thomas Bryant, who's likely out tonight. So we're talking about, Rui Hachimura and a Daniel Gafford sighting if he can get back into the game and stay healthy as well. And so I just like him to be able to get more boards as well. I think, for Dejante these days, the 8 to 9 assists is almost a lock for him. And if you like that and you think I think he's easy, 9 to 10 boards is also in the cards for him. There's the possibility of a triple double. I just like him to get a ton of stats against a Washington team who has regressed back to what we all know them to be this season in terms of one of the worst defensive teams in the league, as they were last season, dropping all the way down to their defensive rating to about 21st after it started the first half of the season up in the top 10. So we know they've been really, really bad in defense the last 20 to 30 games. They're even going to be worse this game with without that down low talent. Dejante, if you like as well, the 21.5 points, the 17.5 rebounds and assists combined as well. I do like San Antonio to pull this game out tonight. 25 points and a W for him as well gets you some pretty good juice on your money. Or you could consider not even needing the W, going 25 points and 12 assists with like we said, no win required, plus 850 on your money at DK. I would consider that one as well. I mean, the points, the 21.5, like I said, they don't scare me a ton. His last 3 versus Washington, he's been putting up about 20 a game, but 13 boards and 8 assists on a 25% usage rate against the Wiz in his last 3 versus them. That's where I feel like he's going to be coming to play and just really sort of taking control of the game, especially without Brad Beal in there. I think he'll be the guy controlling the tempo, getting those boards and pushing it as much as he wants. So I feel really good about Dejante tonight. Yeah,
and that 25% usage rate is going to be up, as we've talked about. Without Derek White, it goes up to 30%. Right. He averages 7 more points per game, 25.5. So yeah, I like getting that 25 plus in terms of your money. Because I think that's a good bet. At whether the Spurs win or not, you can get plus 150 without a win required. If you throw in the assists, obviously you get that huge bonus. But the rebounds, I like what you're saying with the rebounds assists, because he actually had 17 boards in one of his recent meetings with Washington, and you're talking about 17.5 boards assists for a guy who's averaging 10 assists per game in his last 10 road games. So he could cruise past that. He also has a triple double against Washington recently. The Wizards not necessarily, kind of like the Knicks. They're throwing up a ton of bricks, giving you a ton of opportunities to rebound, and they're allowing the second highest assist to turnover ratio as well, which is San Antonio's bread and butter, number 1 in that department once again. So should be more assists than mistakes for Mr. Murray tonight.
Definitely. Yeah, this is going to be a good one. A lot of fun ahead of us tonight on this big Friday night slate. And that is all the time that we have for you in this one. Make sure to like and subscribe to that page. Check out all 4 videos we have up for you today, including this player props one, 3 other game videos. And until we see you next, happy betting.